I know where there's some, right here in the hall, clerk.
No, Molly, I have
no. Okay, it's a warm, sunny day here in Portland. Let's take this thing out of the cabinet. Let's start with the knobs. I think they just pull off. Oh, with felts too. It has one screw knob for some reason. And the knobs, all three match. Just happens that one of them is all the same pattern, all the same style, but one of them has a screw, the rest are a friction fit, or that knurled fit. Huh, interesting. These will pass through the cabinet. Oh, by the way, I don't think I said before, but these are the band switches. This is
but that ain't the way I heard it.
Shortwave band radio. Pardon me. And so these shift you up through the frequencies or down through the frequencies, I guess. Let's see what needs to come up. It doesn't look like this had a back screwed to the back, which is kind of interesting. And I don't see an antenna either. There's not one on the roof. I have not found a picture of this radio with the back in place, if there is one. There's room to fit one in there, but no mounting. There's a screw hole. Yeah, it's up there. Nope, I don't see anything. So I don't know what that's about. Sometimes the back was just the fiber board that held the antenna covered enough of the back to make it safe from prying fingers. So it might have had one of those, but I don't see mounting screw holes even here. It probably has to do with some tuning condensers, or tuning coils. I don't know. I don't know. Let's take a look at the bottom. Okay, there are 4 screws holding the chassis into the box. And it has all its feet. Remarkable. Very nice. So I will find this and remove those 4 screws, and then we'll take the chassis out. Okay, moment of truth. Good. An acorn. There's a plug for the speaker. That's such a great idea. Holy smokes. Guess where the mice have been. This is a mouse house. This has been a mouse house for a while. Wow. Well, I suppose I ought to have a pair of gloves on and vacuum this stuff up. Okay, I'll do that. All right, after vacuuming out the cabinet, I got my favorite guy, one of my favorite guys on the on YouTube, has his own channel. It's Uncle Doug, and Uncle Doug can express more revulsion at a urine-soaked cabinet than anybody I know. I just love how disgusted he gets. He probably has seen more than most of us. And if you ever want to know about output stages of radios, Uncle Doug works pretty exclusively on guitar amplifiers, but he knows everything there is to know with the first AF stage back to going up those things. So he's a sharp guy. You can learn a lot from watching him. This was lying in there, and it turns out it's this piece of wood that goes right there that holds this in place. It probably got popped out when whatever hit it and knocked that loose. Not terribly well glued in. But let's set this aside for the moment. And take a look at the freshly vacuumed out chassis. Starting with the top, let me change the angle on this. This is a 6-tube radio, and from the way the components are laid out, I couldn't find a schematic specifically for this one, but I think it's a pretty close match to the 7G schematic, which is available on the internet. But in terms of layout on top, it's pretty close match, except for the 7G has a tuning eye right here, and this obviously shares a piece of sheet metal with that, but this one never had the tuning eye. Wires have been cut off. I cut the power wires off, of course, but these have been cut off. There's a ground right here that I presume goes up to the tuning condensers. There's that munged coil. It looks like it's been chewed on. It's not impossible, I guess. I don't know. Boy, if that even is close to working, I'll be stunned. There's other wires coming out of the chassis and just kind of ending in nothing here. Oh, what else to say about this? Dirty mess, of course. Underneath, it has, and turn it this way. It looks pretty original in there. I don't see any updated anything. I do see the mice really loved the flavor of this red wire right here. They really loved that one. But I don't see anything else that's been updated except this cardboard. This chunk of cardboard probably replaces something else that used to be there. And it says broadcast oscillator in handwriting, shortwave oscillator, shortwave something, and shortwave something. And underneath it has more mouse leavings. But tuning coils. Just a lot of tuning coils. No surprise. So I have to get the shop vac again and clean this bit out, as well as and a bank of push buttons, each with their own felt. Very nice. Okay, more cleaning. Okay, for a tube complement, we've actually only missing one tube, and that's the 80 rectifier, which goes right here. The socket, this socket at least, is marked, which is nice. I thought I had another tube missing right there, and of course that's where the speaker goes. Speaker plugs in. So we've got an 80 We've got shielded. Looks like the only one that's shielded. 6D6. 6D6. We've got a grid, a cap. I can take the grid wire off with. Oh, I bet that's what this is. This is another grid wire for that 6D6. This guy here is a 75 tube. Sylvania 75. This one says it's a 41, and it is a tungsol 41. This one back here. Boy, they're dirty. I'm just gonna about have to take everything off this to get cleaned up again. 6A7, 6A7 Philco. So the tubes have been swapped out, that's for sure. And this one is a 76. And yeah, it's a 76 Sylvania. So as I said, we only had one tube missing. It is a 6-tube radio though. So I will make note of this tube list, and then let's compare it to the schematic for the 7G chassis, which I have. So here's the layout for the 7G chassis, and it's identical to the one we're looking at in this radio. So it's a 7G chassis minus the 6U5G tuning indicator tube, as they call it, the magic eye. But everything else is exactly the same. The 80 tube in the lower left corner next to the power transformer, and much to my delight, it does have a power transformer. That grid wire that was missing, that had been chewed off or cut off or torn off, went to a 6A7, and I was looking back at the tube complement and realized that there is a 6A7 without the cap. The wire is there. I'll have to figure out. It could be that the wire, if there's enough wire left, maybe that 6A7 can be repaired so it will accept another grid cap. If not, I'll have to replace that. I don't know if I have an 80 tube. I'll look around for it. But this layout says to me that it's exactly the same radio as the 7G chassis minus the Magic Eye tube. There's a hole in the chassis where that cable would have come out, but it's obviously no cable coming out of there and no tube mounted, so that's it. What else? Oh, the top of this chart shows the 3 dials. The tuning dial on the left is the one with that used the knob with the screw, set screw, and the string is broken, so that's why it turns so freely. Tone control in the middle and on-off volume on the right in the schematic, on the left on the radio itself. So let's take a quick look at the schematic. This is all the information I have on this chassis. Single sheet of paper. It's more than Larry has, unfortunately, but it's more than I think I'll need, or it's enough, I think, to do the job for us. Anyway, here's the layout of the chassis minus the 6U5G tuning indicator tube right here. This is what helped me decide it was a 7G chassis. Let me zoom in on the schematic portion of this and we'll take a look at it. The schematic. One thing This is this has six pre-selects for stations in the broadcast band, perhaps in the shortwave band too. This is the shortwave band push button and the broadcast band push button. But I have looked and looked and looked at this and looked at it some more, and it makes no sense to me. I can't tell how any mechanical action down here does anything in here. So I'm going to have to look at, I'm completely stumped. But I'll keep going. Okay, as I said, this is a 6-tube chassis. The 7th tube, the 6G5, isn't used here. It's interesting in that it has a 76 tube for a local oscillator, rather than creating an oscillator off the 6A7 tank circuit. It uses this dedicated oscillator, or the 75 is a dedicated oscillator. And I found out the reason for that is that it boosts sensitivity in higher frequencies. So it goes up here and feeds the IF, which in this case is a 456 kilocycle signal, but it feeds the IF into this whole system. So that's the detector. There's the first IF, some more detection and AVG stuff, or AGC stuff, AVC stuff, automatic volume control, automatic gain control, whatever you want. Second IF, some more amplification, and finally the power output stage. So relatively straightforward. There are very few parts in this chassis. It's a stunningly depopulated thing. So it shouldn't take long to recap and test out. So the first thing I'll do is make sure that we've got a power transformer. The second thing I'll do is make sure that we've got an output stage here. See if that fine speaker works. The third thing I'll do is make sure that this coil assembly right here, this is the one that stands up above the chassis and is bashed. And I'll try to figure out what's hosed up about it. There's got to be something broken with that, but we'll find out. So anyway, all of that next time around. So please be safe, take care of yourself. See ya.
The makers of Johnson's